What's going on, good people? Welcome into the debut episode, the first episode of Real Spill, where the truth wins. It's your boy Scott Proctor, and I'm joined by Book of Ellis. He covers the Carolina Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. Ellis L. Williams, my guy. How we doing? Welcome.
Doing well. I heard you guys were up to some real good things over here, so I had to hop on, man. Let's get it.
Absolutely, man. It's a joy having you, man. I'm excited for this, man. But let's hop right into things, man. We're going to start out the gate with a segment we like to call Bump and Run. Bump and Run! Where we just talk a little bit about some of the biggest headlines from week 3, the previous week. Let's start here. The Packers obviously beat the Bucks 14-12 on Sunday. What did you think of that one? Was that a little bit of a NFC Championship game preview did we see?
See, I kind of felt like we were in a time machine, right? Like we're watching these two elder statesman quarterbacks, and you're just waiting for them to get their shot off, and they end up
both without weapons, pretty much for the most part. Just
exactly playing a bit handicapped, and then they end up looking like your drunk uncles at the reunion, who still don't have it no more, but they think they do. Yeah. And I mean, no disrespect to those two, because, like you said, Scott, it was the weapons that was the issue, right?
Correct.
I don't think that's an NFC Championship preview. I think the league is transforming right now, and unless Gronk and Antonio Brown come through that door for the Bucks, they're looking tough, and I just don't think Aaron Rodgers has the weapons outside to make that playoff run.
No doubt about it. I'm a little bit more high on the Bucks than the Packers, even though they did lose. I think they're going to get a lot of those pieces back. But one thing I do want to mention about the Packers, Romeo Doubs. I think he had his coming out party on Sunday. I think he's going to be a real player, and if he can turn into a legit number one, with Aaron Rodgers, I think that could, be a wild card for them down the line. But let's talk about another one. It took a furious fourth quarter comeback from your Vikings to beat the Lions on Sunday. They topped the Lions 28-24. You worried about your squad after that beatdown they suffered on Monday Night Football to the Eagles the week before, and then obviously, winning a nail-biter against Detroit on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm definitely worried about that defense. I mean, they're playing a lot of cover 4 shells, and they look weak. Their cornerbacks aren't competing for the football. Teams are having their way on the ground against them. Justin Jefferson's been quiet, but when you watch the tape, right, it's a lot of bracket coverage. One bump and run in his face, and then one over the top of him. I think they'll figure that out. I'm not worried about the Vikings. In fact, I saw someone this morning, read somebody who said 3 teams from the NFC North are going to make the playoffs. Can you imagine what 3 they were talking about, Scott?
Yeah, I think I can, and I think the Bears probably going to be the odd man out of that one, unfortunately. But I'm with you, though. I still think the Vikings are a 11 win team, even, with a bit of a struggles the last couple of weeks. And you mentioned being worried about that defense. I mean, the Lions offense is like that. You know what I'm saying? I think the Lions is the most explosive offense in the NFL. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, both of those guys are dealing with some injuries. But we'll move on, though. We'll move on to a segment, Big Spill, kind of our big topic, our main topic of the day. We're going to talk about the 2 teams that came into week 4 undefeated, the Miami Dolphins, the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you think about these 2 teams? Do you think they could keep it rolling? What do you think about their 2 young former Alabama quarterbacks as well, Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa? A lot to talk about there, but get right into it. What's up?
Yeah, man, this is fun. And I'm going to pat myself on the back as I was all over the Miami Dolphins offense and fantasy football drafts, right? That Tua, that Tyreek, Jalen. I just look, I'm a bet on smart people, right? And Mike McDaniels has always been one of the smartest people in the room. Some really humanizing stories about him, his days in Atlanta dealing with alcoholism. And I only mention that because I see a very self-aware and intelligent person who then can become a leader of men. So I've always believed in Mike McDaniels and Dolphins.
Agreed.
But look, I don't have any Eagles stock. I didn't have Jalen Hurts. I don't got any A.J. Brown. I got no Devonta Smith. I just was nervous about the Eagles, and I was proved wrong there.
Didn't know what to expect.
See, so that's it, right? We're 50-50 on this. And it's fun seeing these 2 quarterbacks show they can do it. I think Jalen has proven more than Tua, but both these teams are going to be in the mix till the end, right?
No doubt about it. I mean, I want to talk obviously about the Dolphins because, like you, I was very high on them coming into the season. I've been known as somewhat of a Tua lover, but I've just been excited, man. I loved Mike McDaniel. He was my favorite head coach, in this previous cycle. Him and obviously Brian Daboll, who went to the Giants. I just loved what he done. Talking about McDaniel, obviously what he's done in San Francisco. He's just always one of those coaches, and I'm really talking specifically about his time in San Francisco, that gets the ball in the hands of his playmakers. Obviously, he did that with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and obviously Kyle Shanahan played a role in that as well. But we're seeing that play itself out in Miami when you got dogs like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that are 2 of the fastest dudes in the NFL. I mean, you know, and when you're somebody like Tua, you just got to play point guard. And that's what I loved out of him. He's been balling. He's been, you know, standing up to the criticism. And it's the leadership, really. Obviously, to come back in that game on Sunday after wobbling off the field like that before halftime, that wasn't looking good, to come back with an ankle injury, still had 123 passer rating. And obviously, still talking about the Dolphins, it was obviously Tua, Tyreek, Waddle in that offense in week 2 in that comeback win over the Ravens, right? But it was the defense in week 3, you know, on the field, that defense for 90 plays, holding Josh Allen. I don't think another defense the rest of the season is going to hold the Buffalo Bills to 19 points. I don't think another team the rest of the year is going to do that. So the Dolphins at this point are a complete team to me, both sides of the ball. And I look at the Eagles the same way. I mean, it's still early, obviously, but the Eagles look like a problem in the NFC.
I agree with everything you're saying about Miami, and the only thing I'll say about the Eagles that is a level up to me is Jalen Hurts just might be him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, he's doing things. Talk about leveling up. Talk about being in the gym all summer, putting those jumpers up. I mean,
you see the work.
You've seen it work. Let me throw this stat at you. And this is no shot at Brian Daboll, who I now have had to watch 2 full games of, because in week 2, it was Panthers Giants, and then he's not watching Monday Night Football. You see the creativity there. I'm behind Daboll like you are. But for the Giants as a whole, watch this. The Giants have scored 54 points through 3 weeks. The Eagles have 65 points in the second quarter of games alone.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know they went off for 24 in the second quarter last week against Washington, and the game was over at that point.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, if Jalen Hurts continues to play like how he's looked through 3 weeks, I don't see a team on paper with a chance to really beat the Eagles. And again, they're already playing in a weaker conference.
Right.
I mean, I don't think we just opened the show talking about the Packers and Bucks, who got to be some of the favorites in the NFC. Neither of us are really too high on them at this point. So,
and on top of
got to feel great.
Facts, Scott. And on top of that, they might just be. It's early. I understand we're only going to week 4, but they might be marching towards home field advantage. I mean, you look at that schedule, right? Yes. It's soft, and this AFC is going to just keep eating each other up. The Eagles, might be a 3-loss team playing every game at home.
Facts. The Eagles and the Jaguars have the easiest remaining schedule. And I said it to our guys yesterday. The Eagles' number one priority at this point should be to lock in that number 1 seed, like you mentioned, get home field advantage, and that's gonna pay huge dividends, because that defense is a problem too. I mean, we talked about Justin Jefferson getting shut down on Monday Night Football. That had a lot to do with Big Play Slay. That had a lot to do with him, and obviously Bradbury on the other side. That secondary is got to be one of the best in the entire NFL. And obviously another thing too, Nick Sirianni. Yeah, he might be. He's turned himself, proved to be a hell of a coach.
Yep.
So I think the Eagles got a lot going for him.
It's funny how much a calendar year can change someone's perception, right? And how us in this industry are often too quick to laugh at people. This is a team that's firing on all cylinders. You mentioned the secondary. I'll mention the defensive front. They're winning, bringing 4 guys.
Yes.
They're just disruptive at every level. And I hope when we get to these NFC playoff games, are obviously way down the line, and we already saw it on Monday Night Football. My Vikings want nothing to do with Philly, especially in Philly. We've been there before. No more, please. No more.
They got outclassed on national television. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Yep. Let's move to another NFC team. We're going to go to our On the Prowl segment. Obviously, Ellis, you're doing a hell of a job covering the Carolina Panthers for the Charlotte Observer. If you want to know anything about the Carolina Panthers, Book of Ellis is a must follow. But yeah, let's talk about the Panthers, man. They beat the Saints 22-14 on Sunday for the first win of the year. Shut out the Saints through 3 quarters. Picked off Jameis Winston twice in the fourth quarter to kind of seal that game. What was your biggest takeaway for the Panthers' first win of the year, and how did they kind of get it done?
They got it done because of Laviska Shenault. Dog.
I knew you mentioned him. I knew you mentioned him pretty early.
Sheesh. I mean, bro, I have never seen a flare out, a flat route, a quick out, whatever you want to call it, literally a ball caught at the line of scrimmage that isn't blocked. It's just, 3 by 1. So I'm going to try and do this quick for you guys. Deep by number 1, quick slant by number 2, and then just a flare out by number 3. Like, this isn't a bubble screen, right? This is just a concept, very basic one.
Yeah.
And kudos to Baker, who had 76 yards of passing before this play went to the house in the fourth quarter. He had 76 yards passing, you guys.
Not great.
Not great. He did put off to Laviska Shenault in the flat, who makes one defender miss and then takes off like Derrick Henry down the sideline. And he's gone. 67 yards to the house.
Yeah.
It was a remarkable play that, yes, should we spend time talking about the Panthers defense? Of course. They blocked a field goal. They had a sack on third down, an 11-yard sack from one of their up-and-coming players, safety Jeremy Chin, which then forced New Orleans to kick a 46-yard field goal instead of a 30-something yard field goal. They missed it. So their specials were on fire. Their defense was finally getting those turnovers. But I'm here to talk to you about Laviska Shenault in the passing game because I'm just confused. When you look at this Panthers offense, they've got serious problems passing the football. But somehow found a way to not only beat the New Orleans Saints, a team people thought could be a darling in the NFC South, but now it's the Carolina Panthers who can say they're undefeated in the NFC South and are only one game back of Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. And this whole division looks like one that no one's going to want to win, but your Panthers, for fans listening, are still in it. Exactly.
At this moment, at least. At this moment. You obviously mentioned, before we wrap, you mentioned Laviska Shenault, and I know Matt Rule had some comments leading into the week that, kind of had some Panthers fans a little, scratching their head a little bit just in terms of him wanting to play more wide receivers. And obviously you mentioned the passing game has been struggling, to say the least. How do you think this team can kind of turn around that part of its offense? Is it going to be as a result of Laviska Shenault getting more involved, guys like DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson getting more touches, or how do you see this kind of evolving and progressing here as the season goes on?
Yeah, so Baker has simply just been inaccurate throwing to DJ Moore. I'm sure fantasy owners are upset. I don't have a lot to tell you other than hopefully Baker gets more accurate. In terms of Laviska, they need to find ways to get him on the field and have him be involved in basic looks, run looks, so that when he is in the game, defenses don't think it's a pass likely for him. So they've got a lot to figure out offensively. Christian McCaffrey still is not even getting targets out of the backfield. It's a head-scratching situation. We're going to get Baker Mayfield this week. We'll talk to the coordinators. And then on Sunday, we're going to see if this offense looks any different. If it doesn't, this will get ugly fast because, the defense isn't going to score every week and the special teams isn't going to be blocking field goals each week either.
Exactly. And Kyler Murray ain't going to look like Jameis Winston this weekend either. I'll tell you that much.
Brother, facts.
We're going to move on to another segment we like to call Nickel and Dime. Somebody who wasn't even worth a nickel last week and somebody who was a 10 last week. Let's start with a nickel. Ellis, I know you got somebody in your mind, man. Tell me who wasn't even worth a nickel last week.
Bro, Mr. Limited, Russell Wilson himself. He's not worth a nickel. I wouldn't do this for a penny, man. This offense looks atrocious. I'm embarrassed for them. Look, here's what I think about Russell Wilson. All the off the field corniness, Future and Sierra stuff aside. Sorry, I had to go there. Russell Wilson is a talented quarterback who would make really good plays in a structured system that is led by a demanding coach and play caller. He's in Denver doing whatever the heck he wants under a head coach who it sounds like was only brought there because they thought it would help their chances of getting Aaron Rodgers.
Precisely. That's it.
So this is off the rails. I am embarrassed for Russell Wilson and Denver. They will get better. But can you imagine if Russell Wilson and Kyle Shanahan had each other? Now I don't think Kyle likes short quarterbacks, but that's the type of system Russ needs. I said this to somebody the other day. Russell Wilson thinks he's Michael Jordan, and he's Latrell Sprewell. That's
not Latrell.
I'm a Minnesota kid. Shout out Latrell, but it's the truth, man. It's the truth.
Hey, that's hilarious, man. I got to say, I've been a Russell Wilson fan. I was excited for his time in Denver, and obviously he hasn't looked great. He's looked pretty bad through 3 weeks. And that Sunday Night Football game against the 49ers was one of the ugliest games we'll probably see all year. But I have to give a lot of that blame to Nathaniel Hackett. I knew before the season he should have been the head coach. He should have been the head coach of this team. And we're seeing dividends of that. I mean, hiring somebody before week 3 to help you with game day operations, it's not a good look. But my nickel, obviously, for this week, I got to go with Carson Wentz. And again, this is somebody who I like. I like Carson Wentz. I've been a bit of a Carson Wentz apologist, but after last week, I just simply can't do it. You're Carson Wentz. You're playing against your old team, the squad that drafted you, that you played at a near MVP level for, who you won a Super Bowl with, albeit as a backup after your injury, and Nick Foles led the rest of the way. But obviously, the Philly then kicked you out the door, and you go there in your first game with the Commanders against the Eagles. You have just 50 yards of offense at half. You get shut out through 3 quarters, sacked 9 times. You finish with a QBR of 11.4. I don't even know if I've seen anything like that before.
Facts.
So it was just all bad. Now he got to deal with Michael Parsons this week. It's going to be a bad time for Carson Wentz. That's my nickel. But how about your dime, man? Talk to me about who was a 10 last week.
Man, let me tell you what. We could have done this segment at any point this season so far, and he'd have been a 10. Christian Kirk, receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
Once again, every one of us talking heads, writers, podcasters had a lot to say about how Jacksonville was spending their money this offseason, right?
Yep.
Easy for us to say when we're the ones playing Monopoly and it's actually their dough.
Facts.
Turns out Doug Peterson had a plan and has a plan for Christian Kirk. He looks crisp, smooth, explosive. He is the focal point of that offense, and I'm having a lot of fun watching the Jags.
100%. He's looking like $80 million right now, and I got to roll with you. We're going to double up here. My dime is Trevor Lawrence. He's been balling. I said before the season I was expecting the biggest year 2 leap out of him, and we're seeing he threw for 262, 3 tugs, and a blowout win over a beat-up Chargers squad. Yes, the Chargers were without a lot of bodies, but the Jags did fly damn near across the country from Jacksonville to LA to go dominate a playoff team. So that speaks to a lot to me. Obviously, I like the Jags to get to 7, maybe 8 wins. Yeah. Be a sneaky, decent team. Trevor Lawrence completing 69% of his passes, 6 touchdowns and 1 interception through 3 weeks. He's turning the corner, and it has a lot to do with Doug Peterson, with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones as well, James Robinson, ETN, all the crew. So Trevor Lawrence is my dime this week. We're going to do a quick 2-minute drill look ahead to next week. Week 4, a couple matchups. First one we got to talk about, Bills at Ravens. Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. I have no idea why this game is at 1 p.m., but tell me who you like, what you're thinking about this one quickly.
Man, I was going to say, tell me where at night do I need to be seated at what time? Monday night or Sunday night, brother? But all right. I guess we'll just be working and not watching now. I can't even preview it. I'm just going to enjoy watching the highlights of 2 of the game's most athletic and most talented players go at each other. Off the top of my head, the Bills' defense and that rush, their plan to contain Lamar will be fascinating, and now this is their chance.
100%. I mean, 2 MVP candidates going at it, both playing at a high level. 2 teams that I expect to be, probably 2 of the 4 final teams standing in the AFC, so I'm excited. I think I like the Bills. It's in Baltimore, so I'm actually picking the road team here, but it's going to be interesting either way. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if Lamar spazzes and the Ravens go ahead and win. But how about Sunday Night Football? Chiefs at Bucks. Maybe, obviously, a previous Super Bowl matchup. I'm thinking it could be another one even this year, but what do you think about that one, Chiefs at Bucks on Sunday Night Football?
A game that could potentially be played at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota?
Actually, I hadn't heard that. I know that obviously they're moving it with the hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say it's unlikely, but I've heard that the U.S. Bank is the contingency plan if they really relocate this entire game. People in Minnesota, are going crazy and acting like it's already certain that it'll happen. Anyway, can't wait for that one. That's Sunday night. Give me Pat Mahomes. I'm all play a Tom, the GOAT of GOATs, but they just got annoyed by the Indianapolis Colts.
Correct. Well said.
And that's when Pat Mahomes comes out and throws 4 touchdowns before halftime, and that's what I'm expecting Sunday night.
Yep, the Bucs defense has been amazing, but Patrick Mahomes is him. And coming off a loss, I'm going to take him 10 times out of 10. Last matchup, Monday Night Football to close week 4, Rams at 49ers. I think one of these teams are going to win that NFC West. What do you think about that one?
Dog, other than the NFC Championship game a year ago, which they barely snuck out, Kyle Shanahan just outcoaches Sean McVay every time they're together. Every time, right? Now, if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't step out of the back of the end zone again, I think they're going to win Monday night, so give me the Niners. What a cheat.
We agree. I love the Niners, even with Jimmy G under center. I think that defense, I think that run game, I think Debo goes off for maybe 2 tugs.
I like that.
I haven't really liked what the Rams have looked like. I think last week was a bit of a dud, even though they came out with a close win. So give me the Niners for sure. But that's going to wrap it for us, man. I just wanted to say one final thing before we get out of here for the debut episode of Real Spill, man. I want to dedicate this to my brother in heaven, my good friend Ellis. I know you know, my good friend Eric Isaiah Walker. passed away earlier this month on September 3rd. He was my best friend, man. We became best friends at St. Rita High School in Chicago. He ran Division I track at the University of Minnesota. As you know, El, we went to University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, which is just an hour and a half south of the Twin Cities. Every time I went up there, I was with him. He made sure I had a place to stay. We always kicked it, stayed in touch, best friends, talked every day. So it's been a tough month for me, but he was always so supportive, man, of me and my dreams and this sports media stuff. And he would always, whenever we do videos, he show love and just give me his 2 cents and just show love. So that's my brother, man. Rest in peace, Eric, man. This debut is dedicated to you, man. Love you, bro. So that's going to do it for us, though, man. El, I think this was fun, man. Thanks so much, man. What you think? Same time next week? What you think, man? What's up?
Let's run it back, dog. You're only going to get better and better. I can't wait.
Facts, man. Facts. Go follow us, BVM Sports. Go subscribe to us on YouTube to catch every week's episode of Real Spill. But for Scott Proctor and my guy, Ellis L. Williams, we'll catch you next week on Real Spill.
Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out our other videos and don't forget to smack that subscribe button down below while you're at it. Also, for more great and original content, head right over to bvmsports.com.